Hey, in this video, we're going to share a little secret, guys, that's going to literally change your game overnight. So if you've been stuck at any level in your game, you've got to watch this. Hey guys, we're Bill and Shannon, and we're the co-founders of School of Life Tumbler Rounds and In the Zone Academy. Look, guys, we made this channel because we want to help 100,000 golfers to shoot their new life tumbler rounds. We know many of you are struggling, maybe some are even looking to quit the game, and we do not want to be one of them. So please make sure you hit subscribe, like this video, comment below, because we really want to make sure that you reach your true potential in this game. All right, with that said, let's dive in today's training.
All right, so guys, there was this kid. He kind of lived in not such a great area where there was a lot of college students that actually progressed out of the area and stuff like that. And what happened was he was one of these guys that was not really that into school, didn't really apply himself, was probably making a D or C and some F's in class, and just had a wrong group of friends and everything like that. Was a junior in high school, and in junior is generally when you take the SAT. The highest that you can get is a 1600. I think the average that people make is in between 8 and 900. Anyway, so he takes this test, he takes his SAT, and it comes back, and he makes a 1480 on the SAT. And what's funny was his mom, he asked him and said, "Son, did you cheat on this test?" And as you know, the ones that's ever taken SAT score, there's no way to cheat. Well, see, you might be thinking, okay, well, maybe he just needed a standardized test, for him to actually score that well, for him to realize what his potential really is. Well, that's not the case in this story, and this is a true story. And he's actually a CEO, owner of a magazine company. So anyway, the reason why I tell you that is this: he thought he was smarter than he really was. And so what did he start doing? He changed his behavior. He started sitting in the front room of the class. And because of the 1480 that came back on his teacher said, well, man, maybe we missed it about this kid, and maybe we need to really invest a little bit more in him too. So on top of that, the teachers were investing in him. He started sitting up front, and actually there were times or even through the week, whenever he would go out and hang out with his friends in the past, he would tell him, say, no, man, there's no way. I got a quiz. I got a test that I got to do tomorrow. I can't hang out with you. And so he kind of secluded himself away from some of the activities that he did with his friends. On top of that, he started studying more and doing that. And he ended up doing very well. But then he ends up going to Wichita State, graduates there with honors, and goes on. And then he creates and is a CEO of this magazine company and becomes an entrepreneur and is making quite a bit of money for himself, and all that was because of his behaviors. But here's the interesting point about this: every once in a while, what happens is the SAT board go back and they do a study on the test scores and what they've done, and they realized something that was going on. Roughly about 20 years later, he gets a letter. He opens it up, and come to find out, on the SAT board, they said, look, unfortunately, we went back and reviewed this particular year, and we actually sent out 13 different tests to the wrong people, and you actually made a 740 on the SAT score and not a 1480 out of 1600. 1480 is incredible. So he made a 740. So really what happened was his behavior is what changed everything for him in that. And so now we're going to get on to point number one. All right, guys, so point number one is this: your past does not predict your future. Okay, so in this case with the guy with the 1480 score, what happened was his past didn't predict his future. It was the behavioral changes that he did, and he didn't let his past predict his future. So he had to take an action and go in and go on it. And Bo's going to give you an example of the past, what happens in golf, and not predicting your future.
Absolutely. So the amazing thing about what Shannon just shared, we can now show you what this looks like in the golf standpoint. One of our tour players we worked with was Savannah Velati, and the amazing thing about her story was that back in roughly, that's about a year and a half ago now, she was on the Symmetric Tour, and she had been trying to grind it out, had never made the top 100. In fact, she had only made 7,000 over 3 years. And she was at a point where she was questioning whether she should pursue this career or not pursue this career. And thankfully, we were able to get introduced to her. We started working together. And one of the amazing things that we were able to do with her is in just under a year of working together, we were able to increase her career earnings to 150,000 in just under a year and a half. And not only that did she not make that amount of money, but she also made the top 25 on the Symmetric Tour list 2 years in a row. And then she actually just earned her LPGA Tour card for the season LPGA Tour.
So with what Bo was saying, she went from 136 in the top 20 of on the money list. That's amazing.
Yeah, what's even more amazing about this whole story, guys, is the fact that we were able to do that in COVID shortened season on the Symmetric Tour. I mean, granted, they had a shortened season, but yet we were able to do that in about a 4 to 5 month time span in the very beginning of us working together. She actually got her first top 5 finish on the Symmetric Tour, which she had never done. Had even at that point, I don't think she had ever finished below 40th on the Symmetric Tour. And we were able to get her top 5 finish, followed by another top 5 finish, and we were able to do that in about 2.5 months of working together. So to do that at a professional level is like almost unheard of, but it really tells the point that what has happened in the past does not necessarily affect the future if we change a few things, which kind of leads into point number 2.
So point number 2, behavior changes your future. Okay, remember now point number 1, past doesn't predict your future, but number 2, behavior changes your future. If you think back on the guy that had the 1480, it wasn't that he got a 1480 because he didn't really make a 1480, he made a 740. And so with that, his behavior changes. What was his behavior changes? He started acting as if he made a 1480. He was a 1480 person. What does a 1480 person do? Okay, 1480 person, they sit in the front. Another 1480 is they don't neglect their study habits. They actually go deeper in the studying and kind of put things off with their friends, and so they can get a higher grade. You know, his GPA actually ended up increasing hugely because he started making straight A's at that point. Okay, so that's what changed him, was his behavior that changed his future. And so actually, Bo actually has another story with one of our clients, and he wants to share.
Yeah, guys, this is one of the more amazing stories that really catapulted us as far as our training. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, we met Sandra Gao, who was one of the prominent members on the LPGA Tour. And at the time that we met her, she was coming off a season of a medical exemption given to her back in the fall of 2018. And the reason why was because her wrist was injured. And so unfortunately, because her wrist was injured, she didn't feel ready in the summer of 2019 that she could compete. And so as a result of this, when we met her in July of that year, she had only been able to practice about 15 to 20% of what she was normally accustomed to practicing. So she was nowhere near ready being able to compete. Guys, when we showed her what we call psychoneuromuscular activating system, we were able to help her train in such a way that she could supplement physical reps doing mental reps. And again, this is what our program does and teaches. And the amazing thing about it was that not only 3 weeks later of her just walking this out, doing the beliefs, doing the daily behaviors, and 3 weeks later, she was so excited. She had made a hole in one, was making more putts than she ever had in her life. And she was compelled, and we still have the email saved today. It was an amazing story. She said, I'm signing up for the Scottish and the British Open, and that's going to be in about 2 weeks. So she went from being scared to take these 5 exemptions gifted to her by the LPGA Tour and was at the point of not even using them to now she's so excited that she's going to go play. Get this, guys. In her first round and almost a year off from competition and only being able to practice 15 to 20% of what she was normally accustomed to practicing, well, round 1, sitting at the top of the leaderboard in a tie for 3rd place, shot 300 that day. And that was her first competitive round back in over a year off. And the amazing thing is she goes on and makes the cut, not only in that event, but also makes the cut in the Open. And for her, that was considered a major success. And so that's the amazing thing about what this can do when you walk out these daily behaviors.
All right, so guys, so really what Sandra Gal was having, if you play cards, she actually had 4 aces in her hand. And you're like, what in the world? 4 aces? Yeah, she had 4 aces in her hand. Generally, that trumps everything except for like a full house, but she had 4 aces. So think of ACE as an acronym, ACE. Action, acting changes everything. That's what changed her. She didn't fake it till you make it. No, that's not it. It's act it till you become it. Okay, that's what she was doing. That's the ace that she was playing. Everything, it was acting that until she became it, and she became it, and because of that, she actually made the cut, sitting on top of the leaderboard in the first round. That's unheard of, like what Bo was talking about.
Which now leads into point number 3. Now, before we get to that, guys, if you're enjoying any of this content, please make sure you subscribe, like this video, comment below. We want you to join us on this journey because, like we said, we are serious about sharing the type of content that's going to help 100,000 golfers to shoot their new lifetime rounds. So if you want to join us on that journey, make sure you subscribe to this channel.
Now we're moving on to point number 3. And point number 3 is become a doer, not just a hearer. But I want to recap real quick. Remember, point number 1, your past does not predict your future. Point number 2, your behavior changes your future. And then point number 3, become a doer, not just a hearer. What do I mean? So it's kind of like this. So to be just a hearer, that's just mental assent, okay? But become a doer means this. So I was actually doing a presentation, and I was standing up at the front, and I held up this $20 bill. All right, and I said, who wants these $20? Who wants this $20? And I sat and waited. Nobody came up. So then I pulled out another 20 and I handed it up. Now I had $40 that I was showing. All right, who wants this $40? And I waited. And then finally somebody came running up to the front, and so I handed them the $20. So when I handed out $20, I said, wait right here. Wait 1 second. So your thoughts determine what you want, but your actions determine what you get. You see, your thought, everyone in here wanted that $40, wanted the $20, but nobody acted on it. Why did you not act on it? Because you might be afraid of what somebody might think. You may not think I was going to give it to you. I don't know what happened. But then when I held up the 40, right? So then you really pricked your curiosity, right? And then finally somebody came up, and the person that was standing there says, because your actions, you came forward, that's determined what you get. So your thoughts determine what you want, your actions determine what you get. Don't forget that, guys. So then when I start talking about this, so once you start acting it till you become it, remember, once you start acting it till you become it, then these self-limiting thoughts start coming about, they start appearing. What do I mean by self-limiting thoughts? Okay, you have your inner critic, which is the person is saying, you're not worthy enough. You're not going to be able to do that. You can't do that. That's not going to determine who you are. What he's saying is not true. Okay. You have these self-limiting beliefs. So once you start acting in these, your inner critic starts coming in and saying, hey, you're not worthy in doing that. That's that self-limiting belief. But then you also have your inner coach. Your inner coach is more encouraging, and that is who that inner coach is. That's the one that you need to listen to. What's the difference between your inner boy, your inner critic, and your inner coach? Well, they both sound like you. That's the thing. The voice sounds exactly like who you are. Okay, but then you have to decipher who that is and get discernment, the difference between that, and you got to crush it. You got to crush that inner critic and that voice, and you got to do it anyway. So you got to do it anyway. Bo, you got anything else?
No, one thing I'll say, guys, about this is that the more you put in block in your schedule in such a way that, look, I am going to go out and walk out these behaviors that are congruent with a, say, fill in the blank score. So going back to the original story that Shannon shared, when he talked about going through the behaviors of going to class and being at the front of the class and walking this out, he did everything that a 1480 student would do. In golf, we have to do the same thing. We have to go out and do the behaviors that are congruent with, say, hey, I want to get to 70s, I want to get below 70s. Okay, what does a low 70s golfer do? How do they plan their week? How do they plan, their practice time? How are they spending their time on the course or range? And how are they doing all those things? And you have to go and walk those behaviors out. Now, the amazing thing is, guys, we make it much more simplified. So if you're interested in wanting to know how in the world did Savannah or Sandra accomplish those kind of results, and also how 300 of our clients are dropping 6.8 shots off their games in less than 90 days, well, we put together a free training that you definitely want to go watch. And the amazing thing about it is that it's a little secret that Ben uses, but we also expand on what we call psychoneuromuscular activating system. Hey guys, this is a secret that Ben Hogan swore he'd never tell his wife or share with anyone. And we talk about how he was able to use a piece of this to get the success that he achieved, but how we have also taken this and taken it to a totally different level where we show you how to get into the zone on band. So if you want to play more rounds of golf in the zone, because you all have seen it, you've hit shots where you played extremely well and it was like nothing could phase you. The key is you got to get into the zone on band. We show you how. Definitely go watch that free training. We'll post that link below. And that's it, guys. We really appreciate you hanging out with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.